Hello, how's everyone doing? Hopefully, your week has started well. I wanted to talk about two of my favorite topics. A couple of things I'm going to talk about, really. Really, the notion of talent versus hard work, specifically related to musicians, and in particular, focus on guitar players. So, I watch a lot of things, I read a lot of stuff, specifically on education and people really working hard, and the whole notion of people who work hard will always do better than folks who necessarily are quote unquote more talented. So first of all, let's start off with for me, how I would define talent. So to me, talent is defined as something akin to a natural aptitude or skill. Okay, somebody who just gets it very easily. They just have a God given ability to do X or Y, musically, athletically, sometimes academically. So basically, a natural aptitude. Hard work, on the other hand, is simply putting in effort to achieve that goal. Okay, so somebody who studies a lot for the exam as opposed to someone who just comes in cold and just aces the exam. Some folks who naturally have good rhythm without needing metronome, or who easily can figure out tunes by ear. There are those people out there, regardless of what we say. So I kind of wanted to look at that, but I also didn't just want to look at talent versus hard work. I kind of wanted to look at, does it make a little bit more sense depending upon the age that the person comes to the instrument. So there's a kind of like two separate kind of train of thought, but you'll see how they intersect. So, okay. There is this whole notion that that talent cannot simply be developed by working hard. Okay, and smart, gifted individuals clearly have an advantage over others. Okay, so I actually not don't necessarily agree with that all the time, but there are some things that no matter how hard you work, you're gonna get acquire certain skill, but you don't have a natural ability for it. You can learn, like let's just take playing by ear. There are people who study ear training, and there are people who just figure songs out and they can tell you what you're playing. And so, this notion that you can work hard and you're going to acquire that talent, you can get better at it, but sometimes you're not going to surpass the person with the natural talent. That's just not going to happen. Athleticism is a perfect example. There is the notion that, hey, hard work will outwork talent. No, and I'll tell you why. So obviously, the first thing I should mention is that the combination of talent and hard work will always beat anything else. Period. So that's a fact. That's not fiction. So somebody who's talented and who puts in the work is going to do better than you are, academically, business wise, and obviously musically. Okay. Now, okay, if they do not work hard, then that's not going to happen. That's the whole notion. There was a quote, I think the guy's name was Tim Nodke. He said, hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. Okay? And that makes sense. I mean, it's very, very intuitive. The problem with that is what I would call a positive feedback loop. Talented people typically get a lot of positive reinforcement as they're doing things, and that makes the work not seem like work because they want to get more of that positive feedback. So in other words, so if I'm teaching a group of kids a song, and Joey gets this, they can get it like that, and I keep reinforcing that they get that, they keep playing more. So they don't view learning to read or learning to play by ear as work, because they're receiving that positive feedback, and that's making them play and practice a lot more. And so I think that's what happens. That's why talented people always end up doing so well, because as much as we have all these stories about talented people who don't put in the hard work, I think that there's enough positive feedback and reinforcement for talented people that even if they're not working as hard as an untalented person or a less talented person, it's enough that they will always surpass somebody that has to really, really work at it in order to get that. So let's talk about the length of time for musicians and when they start, and did these people actually have talent versus they just worked hard. So I like to think that talent is really, really real. Let's just put it that way. And if I had to work the equation, I think that talent surpasses the hard work. That's just me blatantly. It's not a scientific, it's anecdotal, and it's a personal opinion. And I think that people work both ways, but I do. And so I want to use four musicians, and they're all guitar players by that. I want to use Jimi Hendrix, Wes Montgomery, Charlie Christian, and Ralph Towner. Okay. All of them, at least three of them, of two, maybe all four of them you guys know of. Let's talk with Jimi Hendrix. And again, these are not facts, or at least it's debatable. I don't know if this is like a little bit of research. So Jimi Hendrix technically played guitar for 12 years, if you believe some of the internet stuff and things like that. Jimmy died at 27. He started at 15. So that's 12 years. Let's just say it's wrong. He started at 10, however you cut it. 12 years to produce that kind of music that people are still playing and trying to emulate, and then still, can't do that. That's crazy. So now, did Jimi Hendrix work hard? Yeah, he worked hard. Don't get me wrong. So, but I would say that that's just pure talent, period. Okay. You can't accomplish all of that within 12 years without being very, very talented. And I'm sure he got positive feedback loops, Isley Brothers, and everybody telling you played really well. Wes Montgomery, a little bit different. Now, there's this notion that he started at 19, and it's debatable because he played the tenor, banjo, or what have you like that. But let's just give him 19. He died at 45. So, if my math is correct, so that's about 26 years he played. That's a healthy number. That's a healthy number. But you mean to tell me, let's just say one or two, if not the greatest jazz guitarists, that's all they played for, 26 years. And 26 is not that long. And the thing that I talked about, the age that they started at 19, or let's just say a little bit later. And again, you can argue that because that might be a little bit fiction because, the brother played piano and it was a very musical family. But the bottom line is that he wasn't some child prodigy that was 10 years old playing the guitar. So he started very late. So again, I would argue that talent and the time, based upon the time that he started, trumps any amount of hard work. And again, probably like Jimmy, Wes got the positive feedback loop happening. The next one, Charlie Christian. Charlie supposedly started playing at 12 years old. I think he played some other instruments. And that's the other thing, too. I don't know what some of these people came from. That's very important because if you come from another instrument, as the next one we'll talk about, that's going to give you an edge on everybody else. So Charlie Christian started at approximately 12 years old, died around 25. So that's 13 years. Again, when you talk about great jazz guitars, you talk Charlie Christian, you talk Wes Montgomery. So in 13 some odd years, I mean, I couldn't tell you how long I've been playing. I've 13 years, and I will never play like Charlie Christian, nor will I ever play like Wes Montgomery or Jimi Hendrix. And all of these people I've been playing a lot longer, and I've probably worked harder than they have because I've studied and I look at things like that. And so this whole notion about hard work trumping the talent or working with it sounds nice, but there's let's just be real at least. And again, this is an opinion here. The last one that I want to talk is Ralph Towner. Ralph Towner, for those of you who don't know, is a terrific classical guitarist that plays, jazz on the classical guitar, organ, written a bunch of stuff that classical guitarists play. Started playing classical guitar at 22 years old. Now, he's a little bit different because he was a classically trained pianist. In fact, he used to sit in for Bill Evans in New York City at one point in time, that stuff. So he was a very, very well-schooled musician and then went to Paris or somewhere in Europe to study classical guitar. But the bottom line is he started a very complicated instrument, classical guitar, at a very, very advanced stage to end up being one of the best jazz classical guitarist, composer around. So at the end of the day, you need to have some level of talent. Okay. Whenever you watch these videos and people are telling you, oh, here's a secret for that pro musicians know of that, regular people don't know of, or if you study this and you study that, you're going to get better. And this is not to dissuade people from obviously learning and putting in some work, but there are some things you will never be able to accomplish, as sadly as it is. I don't want this to be a demoralizing video. It's just to look at the whole notion of talent versus hard work. And, the reality of it is everything works in unison. It's a combination of your God given talent and aptitude, natural aptitude for something, and the work that you put in. You know, Unfortunately, if you really, really want to get to a certain level, you do have to have some level of talent. You can get better based upon where your starting point is. If you put in some work, you learn, you practice. But, there's this whole notion, you can't teach height if you want to play basketball. I mean, think about that for a second. No matter how hard a 5'2" person works, they're never going to be in the NBA for the most part. There are freaks and folks who kind of fall away from the stereotype that are very short. They're point guards and stuff like that. But you can't teach height. You can't. You look at the NFL. We just had the Super Bowl. These guys are behemoths. They're super fast and things like that. Yes, they also worked hard. They didn't just get there by being just physically gifted. And that goes for the same thing in music. You can get to a point that you're comfortable in using the God-given gifts that you have, because everybody has a certain aptitude and talent. And that may mean that you have to work very, very hard or much harder than the next person. But yeah, you can get there. So again, I want this to be positive. Hard work does pay off. Let's just put it that way. But let's not disregard talent. Again, having said that, go and practice and practice and practice some more. Thank you again for watching. Bye now.